where you're catching up with us today from. I hope that you guys are doing well. It feels like a minute. I have been quite kind of busy, so this week I'm coming back with the first live streaming for the week and a continuation of our soul care Wednesdays. I feel like it's gotten to a point where I'm no longer even counting the episodes, but I think if I'm not wrong, this will be episode 5, and today is not going to be any different from the episodes that we've done before, because we're looking at ways in which you can prosper and be in good health, even as our souls prosper, by looking after or caring after our souls. So we have done so many things so far. We've looked at things like forgiveness. We've looked at things like identity. We've looked at things like being able to break free from old patterns and establishing new patterns and things like that. And today we will be looking at something different, which will be literally mindset. I actually was thinking about mindset quite a lot because my dear friend Abby is a mindset coach. If I get this wrong, Abby, and if you ever watch this, please correct me. But she's really into mindset. She calls herself a mind hacker. And she's somebody that really, I learn a lot about mindset from her. And one of these days, I hope and I trust in God that I'll be able to bring her live on one of these live streams to talk about mindset. I know I'll not be able to go into depth talking about mindset because mindset is a big topic, is a huge thing, but I just want to try to introduce it in the way I understand what mindset is all about. I did a little bit of searching earlier on and just to understand, and mindset is just basically belief systems, right? Patterns of belief and things like that. There is a high chance that we believe what we believe because of the beliefs that we believe actually become our mindset of how we approach things in life. There are so many different things that will shape our mindset. The way we were born, where we were born, not the way we were born, but where we were born, how we were raised up really plays a significant role in our mindset. And one of the things that recently I was talking to one of my sisters and we we're discussing about a poverty mindset. And I literally just say to my sister, before I even say anything, let's just try and ask Uncle Google. And Uncle Google really defined that really good for us. You're saying, like, if you have a poverty mindset, you believe that there is not enough. And so you can actually have 10,000 pounds, but because you're so grounded with that poverty mindset, you believe that that money is not good enough. And you will not really have that self-confidence even to be able to do something for yourself, because in your mindset and in your mind, you're thinking, hang on a minute, I don't even deserve to spend a dime on myself. And you'll never think that you have enough, you're not good enough, and things like that. And when you're thinking about things to do with mindset as well, these are belief systems that can sometimes really make people become crippled, right? Have you ever had a belief system where you're just thinking, for example, let's just stay there in poverty mindset, right? You're just thinking like, I don't have enough. I will never be able to have enough. And so because of that, you're constantly stingy and you're having that scarcity mindset and lack mindset and poverty mindset, which kind of in a way can impact how you do life. Some of us find it even more difficult just to take ourselves out or do something with ourselves, or even be able to pay for a program for ourselves, just because we are held back by that thinking like, oh well, it feels like a lot, right? If I tell you today, pay let's talk in Kenyan shillings, pay 3,000 shillings to go to the gym, it will really show the mindset you hold on, because for some of us will be thinking like 3,000 shillings for a gym. No, it's a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. But if you have this mindset of looking after yourself, you'll actually realize 3,000 compared to what you're going to be doing in the gym is actually not a lot of money, because it can save you thousands and thousands and thousands of shillings of trying to go to the hospital to treat illnesses, diseases and sicknesses and things like that. And so when you get to a point and you start to understand, you need to deal with mindset, because mindset can sometimes become like a stronghold. The things that you believe in and the systems that you believe in can actually become crippling, where you get to a point where you can't live a free life because you're constantly in that place where you are kind of you're kind of how do you say, crippled in your life. And I was thinking earlier on, so I did a little bit of studying, and I was looking at some ways in which you can actually design, or not even design, you can actually look at ways in which you can start to deal with your mind so that you can have a good or a positive mindset. Of course, we are kind of trying to understand those negative patterns so that we deal with those negative patterns, we break those negative patterns, and that allows us to be able to get to a place where we can live in freedom and our lives can be free to live that freedom that God has given us. And so as I was reading earlier on, I just actually was trying to find ways in which, for example, as I said, we can live in places and spaces where we're kind of just constantly limited in our thinking, limited and thinking we are not good enough, we not have enough, and things like that, where we are rooted in scarcity rather than abundance mindset. We are rooted in negative things, negative cycles, rather than positively thinking and having a positive outlook towards life. And so today, as I said, I'm not going to go deep into the mindset and delve into it deeply, because I've got a friend of mine who is better trained in that, and I will be bringing her on one of these days to talk about mindset. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about how you can train or retrain your mind, because some of us, our minds are so trained into that scarcity, into poverty, into lack mentality and mindset, that we find it difficult to live in abundance and allow ourselves the wonder of understanding what really God has in store for us, which is abundance and blessings. So to retrain our mindset or our minds, I actually thought of 9 different things, and I put them down so that I don't end up forgetting. One of the things that I would love to start with is actually through meditation. I've talked about meditation quite a lot, and that's a way where when you come to a point where I'm not asking you, I know some religions, when you meditate, they ask you to leave your mind and you disconnect from the world, you go somewhere else and you don't exist, troubles don't exist, life doesn't exist, you are there by yourself in that sphere. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Here I'm talking about where you can sit down and think about, I love, as I said openly, I'm a Christian, and so all the things that I do are guided by Bible principles. If you think of things like Philippians 4:8, talks about things that are good, of good report, things that are pure, things that are honorable. You can sit down as you are in that quietness and meditate on those good things. Meditate on positivity. Meditate on a positive note. Meditate on positive mentality. Meditate on a positive mindset until it becomes your second nature. And if you're really thinking like, how can I do meditation? There are so many different ways where you can actually do meditation. First of all, you need to start with a quiet place. Identify a set time where you're not going to have distractions and things like that. But there are so many videos and so many action points or plans that can help you. I can see some of you live with me. Welcome. Great to see you live with me and connecting with me. So you can actually do that on YouTube. You can find some clips that will help you, that will teach you about meditation. So you meditate on positive things until positivity becomes second nature to you. Because if you dwell constantly in negativity, if your mindset is always setting on the negative things, you have to retrain yourself. And in one of the ways in which you can do, your thoughts can become your reality. What you constantly think about can become a reality. And so why not use that time, think positively, meditate about positive things and things that can be building to yourself. Number 2, connect with present, right? With the present moment. Have you ever heard about presenteeism or absenteeism. This can be either ends of the same spectrum, so where some of us are just absent minded every time, you're constant forgetting about things and you're not living in the present, whereas there are other people that can become overly consumed with the present, that your life is basically rotating around, or what if, and you're constantly like kind of haunted by being overly thinking about what is going to happen tomorrow, today, and just enjoy and be in the present. I said last week, today is a gift. It's the present, right? We have been given. Why not enjoy being in the present rather than thinking and worrying about things that sometimes you don't have control about them? Number 3, learn to put your mind at rest. Don't let your mind always constantly wander. And when your mind is wandering, some of us, our minds wander into the deep ends, right? If somebody says something, you're thinking like, oh, the worst case scenario. And it keeps your mind so active, it keeps your mind so preoccupied that you're constantly harassed and your mind is constantly working hard, up very hard every single day. But try to learn to rest your mind. Try to learn to rest your mind. I say that again, right? Try to learn to rest your mind, where you can say to your mind, calm down, right? Mind, sit down with me. Let's be present in the moment. The fourth thing you can think about doing when it comes to retraining your mind and building a positive mindset is through minimizing digital distractions. Did I say that word, D word? We live in a world where digitally we are all constantly called into one thing after the other. The social media is calling us. Sometimes when I just go out, say like, oh, I'm going on to TikTok to make a YouTube short, and I get onto TikTok and I start to see what people are posting, and before I realize, I'm like, oh my world, and I've spent maybe 5-10 minutes, but I did not intend to be on TikTok. I can go to Facebook and start living people's real fantasies, thinking that they're reality, and starting to gauge my life, and that can actually impact even how I think about myself because of those digital distractions. So if you want to really build your mind up so that your mindset is constantly trained in a way that you start to have that positivity in life, try to think about what are those digital distractions that you have and how can you be able to minimize that. One of the ways could be maybe setting up a time that you will say, I will only be on social media for half an hour a day. Once I'm done with that half an hour, that's it. If you have a smartphone, for example, an iPhone will actually help you. You can actually allocate and say the time that I need to be on social media will be 20 minutes, and if 20 minutes is done, I'm not going to any other time for that. It will call for lots of discipline. The other thing you can do is actually just switching off notifications, because notifications are a danger thing. When I see a notification, even if I'm doing something now, I'm doing this live streaming, and I see a notification on my phone, I will want to check, and when I check, I'll be like, oh, something else leads to something else, which leads to something else. So that is a way you can decide and say, Claire, my phone notification from Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever, nope. So that I will go to look for the distractions rather than them coming to look for me, because that's what digital distractions are all about. The fifth thing to do is prioritize sleep, right? Many of us, we kind of, I don't know, maybe just as a question before I generalize, like how many hours of sleep do you sleep every night? I recently read a post of a young guy. He's about 40 years old. He's in Japan. He was really proud of the fact that he only sleeps 30 minutes a day. And he was saying how he's managed to do so much in his life, achieve so much in his life. He's trained his wife to sleep, I think it's 3 or 4 hours. He's trained his son to sleep. An 8-year-old sleeping like 3-4 hours. To me, I think, I'm not gonna be judgmental. I don't know this person. I don't want to judge them at all, but there is power in sleeping and rewiring of your minds that actually occurs when we are able to sleep. When we sleep is another way in which you can put your mind to rest and just let your mind rest and rewind, and then get yourself the energy and the stamina to move on to the next day and the next activities. The other thing that you can as well do, number 6, to retrain your mind, is actually leveraging on your routines. And leveraging on your routines, how can you do that? For example, if you want to meditate, you can actually decide and say, I will meditate 10 minutes before sleep, right? And then maybe 10 minutes before the meditation, you go start brushing your teeth. When you start brushing your teeth, you remember, after I finish brushing my teeth, I have my 10 minutes of meditation before sleeping. If I give you an example of myself, how my routine is like, that's how I leverage on it, and I'm able to go for a run. When I pack off the things for the next day, I put my son's uniform, I put out the things that I need for the day after, for the next day. I usually leave my running gear outside my room. So I go to sleep. When I wake up, the first thing I'm doing when I leave my room, the first thing that I'm seeing is actually my running gear. I pick it up, I change into my gear. That's the first thing that I do. And I know once I have my gear on, there is no way I can't go to run, because I've already switched my mind to tell me it's a time for running. What is it that you can leverage on, so that at the time when you're doing that, it will remind you something that you can do that will actually help your mindset to grow and to become much more different, right? And then the other thing you can actually do is practice letting go. We've talked about this when we talked about forgiveness. We don't want to carry around us baggage, right? We don't want to allow people to live on our minds rent-free. If you're going to live in my mind, at least you have to pay rent for it. If you're not paying for rent, why would I allow you to stay in my mind rent-free? Why, right? Do not, they say, I think it was a statement that was said by Martin Luther, or I might be wrong on that if I quote it wrongly. You cannot prevent a bird from flying over your head, but you can prevent it from making a nest on your head. Right? Can I repeat that again? You cannot prevent a bird flying over your head, but you can prevent it from making a nest. You can prevent things that can actually end up affecting how you view yourself, affecting your life, by deciding and saying, you know what, I don't want this to become like a baggage to me. I don't want to carry around me containers of things that do not help me, and practice letting go. One of my friends one day told me, Claire, I make excuses for people. I was like, what does that really mean? And she said, because I don't want to hold on grudges on people. If somebody does something for me, I try to figure out, why did they do it for me? And I think, oh, probably they're just having a bad day. And because I'm making excuses for them, I'm not allowing that to hold me back. I'm not allowing that to become a hindrance and a blockage on my having them to be making the bird to nest on my head. I'm allowing myself to forgive. I'm allowing myself to let go, to hold a short account, so that I don't end up with issues that are just going to be eating up on my mind for no reason. Number 8 is tune into your intuition, right? That gut feeling. I just know it in my knower. Have you ever heard somebody saying that? I just feel it in my feeler. That kind of, we all have that intuition. We have that ability. We can tune that in a way that it will help us. Sometimes it can even give you a sense of danger, right? If you're in tune with your knower, in tune with your intuition, you can know when something wrong is going to happen and things like that. And that can actually help you to be as well grounded. Some of us just need grounding ourselves in the reality and the truth of who we are and whose we are. And the final thing, which is number 9, that was really long, is flex your mental muscles regularly, right? Flex your mental muscles regularly. How can you do that? I was asking myself, how can you do how can you flex your muscles, your mental muscles regularly? I can talk to you about flexing my physical muscles regularly, because I do that when I go to the gym. I lift weights and I do that. But there are 4 things that I would like to leave you with as I bring this to an end that will help you quite a lot when it comes to flexing your mental muscles regularly. Number 1, concentration. When is the last time that you just sat down and concentrated on something? And that's why sometimes you'll have to switch off the digital distractions so that you can concentrate. When you concentrate on something, you begin to see things with clarity, with depth that you will never see if your mind is not concentrated on them. Some of us, I was even telling somebody, even for us who are Christians, you can actually read your Bible like a storybook and never get anything on it because you're not concentrating on it. But when you start concentrating, a verse only can take you half an hour to try and digest. Number two, how do we build our muscle? How do we build our muscle? Our mental muscles, our mind muscles, is by clarity. Ensure that you have a way that will give you mental clarity. And these will be things like sleep will help you with your mental clarity, taking care of yourself, going out to exercise, doing life within a community, being able to eat brain power foods that can actually empower your brain and your mental capabilities can give you some mental clarity. And of course, if you have something that is disturbing you or things like that, just being able to sit down and think of how can I solve this out or sort it out so that it doesn't become a cloud on my mental, on my mind. Then the third thing is compassion, right? Being able to be compassionate to other people, being able to empathize rather than sympathize. We live in a society where people will constantly sympathize with you. Oh, I sympathize because such and such a thing has happened. But empathy goes beyond sympathy. Empathy goes beyond, it goes like, I feel you, I feel the pain, I know what you're going through, and I'm here to support you. And when you are empathetic or you practice empathy, you are driven with compassion, and the driving of you with that compassion, you can do something. A friend of mine usually says, love looks like something. You can actually take action to help somebody, and that action is motivated and driven by compassion. And the last thing, this one I had to Google it, is called equanimity, which is just the calmness and composure, especially in a difficult situation. Are you able to be calm and composed in a difficult situation? I find myself sometimes it's difficult to be able to interact or engage when it comes to things that will bring things like conflicts, because I am not great when it comes to having to confront and things like that. And so when it comes to that time, are you able to be grounded enough to know that I'm really grounded in the fact that I will still keep my composure and I'll still be me, standing my head tall and being able to keep my calm and my cool in those situations? And of course, as you start to practice these things, as you start to make them become more of like second nature to yourself, you start to see life with a different angle. You start to see life from a positive angle. You start to see life and you're like, it doesn't matter what, it may be looking negative around me, but you start to have the glimmer of hope. And the other thing that can actually help, and which is what my friend constantly talks about, is affirmation. Be constantly positively affirming those things that you want, that not you want, but you love to see in your life, right? If you're fighting with poverty mindset, for example, try to look for affirmations that will help you realize, I am enough, I have enough, I walk in abundance, I know who I am, I know whose I am, I know all things work for my good. You know that if you're a Christian, you can have so many scriptures that talk about God's provision, and you start to talk them into reality. Do something. Don't just confess and confess, but on your confession, add something. Give feet to your faith. Add something that will help you so that at the end of the day, those confessions become realities, right? The Bible says you will speak a thing and it shall come to pass, because there's so much power in the words that we speak. God spoke the word into creation. We can speak realities into creation through the things that we constantly speak. What you repeat becomes a reality. So if you're constantly in that negative cycle, your negative mindset, I am not enough, I don't have enough, I have this lack, scarcity, you can start to talk yourself out of it and begin to say to yourself, I have abundance, I walk in abundance, I live in a miracle life, I move in the flow of God's resources. Have those things, write them down, journal them every single morning. Wake up in the morning, repeat them to yourself. Look yourself in the mirror, repeat those things until they become a reality in your life, right? So so that I don't end up taking too much of your time, I like to bring this to an end. As I say, thank you so much to those of you who've joined me live today. I truly appreciate your time. I've seen some of you dipping in and dipping out. It might just be connection issues. Hopefully you have a great evening. And this is Claire. If I forgot to say that, if you're wondering who's that talking at me, I have the privilege of being the founder of this channel, and I'm all about healthy, healed bodies. And so if you're new here, glad to have you, glad to have taken time to be with us this afternoon. If you've not done so already, why not just like this live stream, click on the share, click on the subscribe. That will go a long way to supporting what you're doing. Otherwise, I hope that you have a great evening, and I look forward again to seeing you in episode 6, which will be next Wednesday, when we look at the next installments of the Soul Care Wednesdays. Until then, God bless, much love, and have